What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. It's Obsessed Turf, and this is a follow-up video to the previous video I did on my fall renovation. If you saw that video, you saw that I did a lot of renovation from removal of Poa trivialis. And if you did not catch that video, you can see it right here. But this follow-up video is just to cover some of the things that I've been experiencing. I'll share with you the progression of the seed germination and the growth of the seeds and the days that I started the seed germination, as well as the progression of those seedlings as they were growing and the number of days. So as far as the total number of days before my first mow, I actually wanted to wait as long as I could. Understand that when you're overseeding, the true intention, the main goal for this is to try to get your seedlings to establish as best as they can before you put too much stress on the lawn by walking and mowing and rolling your mower over the grass. So a way to accomplish that is when you actually start your overseeding before you put your seed down, mowing your lawn as low as possible without scalping it, but getting it down as low as possible if you're trying to maintain the already established grass in your lawn. So mowing it low gives you that much more time before you actually have to mow, because at some point your existing grass is going to get too long and it's going to shadow the seedlings and really start to hinder their progression. So you want to make sure that you're getting proper sunlight and moisture. Moisture not being the issue too much, and it's being more about sunlight and exposure, and helping cut down on fungus and disease in your lawn as well by keeping the canopy from getting too long. So one of the main things that I wanted to be aware of when I was about to mow is starting to scale back on my watering. Because the grass is so thick and long and high, it's holding moisture a little bit longer than average, right? So I was starting off at watering 3 times per day, and then about the 2-week mark, I went ahead and backed that down to 2 times per day. So now I'm at a watering schedule at 9 a.m. and at 2, I think I changed it to 2 o'clock. It was 3 o'clock. And I scaled that back to 2 o'clock because of the thickness of the lawn, the seedlings that are coming in. It's able to retain moisture a little bit longer. So I do want to give it time for the lawn and the canopy to dry out a little bit more time, another hour during that early afternoon time frame, just so that we can help keep disease under control. We don't want it to spark disease as much as possible. So that is kind of the fine balance between keeping your seed bed moist as well as keeping the lawn dry enough overnight, especially when the temperatures creep back up. In fact, the day that I knew that I was going to mow, that morning I turned off the irrigation altogether. I went around to all of the more bare areas and I just hand watered those areas, just so that it was more of a targeted watering session, if you will, just to maintain a lower moisture in the lawn in preparation for the mow for that day. Guys, I have to say that one of the biggest advantages that I had, that obviously we don't have control of, but I got extremely lucky, was the temperatures. Man, luck was on my side when it came to that, because it got down into the high 40s, low 50s as far as the lows, and all the way up into like the mid 70s for the most part. So it was fantastic weather. Soil temps were a little higher than I would prefer, but given the fact that we had so many consistently cooler days, that did help with that really high portion of the soil to kind of maintain a cooler temperature. And I think it ended up being a really, really good stretch of weather for, like I said, just about that entire stretch of this 3-week span has been phenomenal as far as temperatures. So I lucked out there, because now the temperatures are going to creep back up into the mid 80s, but I'll be at a point where the seedlings have established enough to where they can probably push through that as I start to adjust my watering schedules and doing more infrequently and deeper waterings per water session. But the main goal for that first mow is that you want to make sure that the grass is dried out enough so that you can actually get a more effective cut. That being said, I wanted to get out here and get the lawn mowed. So the very first thing that I did is I set the mower height to the very highest setting. And this was on the 18th day, I believe. So we're about 3 days short of a 3-week mark. I was really hoping that I could get it at 3 weeks, but it didn't happen. One of the other things that I've witnessed with the Ego mower that I want to share with you guys as well is that I had mentioned in previous videos with my experience of the lawn or the grass not being able to properly mow at a certain height. And it was usually at settings 6 and 7 or higher, I would get issues where the grass would lay down from where the wheels would push the grass down, and then coming back the other direction to mow over when you're, overlapping, coming back the other direction in the mow, that the grass that was laying down, there was not enough suction to pull that grass that was laying down up to then be cut. So then you end up with these wheel tracks of where the grass was laying down that over the course of the next couple of days, those come back up, they stand back up, and you have uncut grass in those sections. So one thing that I knew that was a possibility was using the high lift blade. I had never used the high lift blade. The mulching blade is all that I've used. I mulch way more than I bag. I think that there's a lot of benefit of returning those clippings back to the lawn to not only help with moisture retention, but also for returning nutrients into the lawn that your lawn has acquired as a result of your fertilizer program. So, returning those nutrients back to the lawn and establishing a little bit of a barrier to not only keep the weeds down, but also to help with the moisture retention is a nice trade-off in my opinion, as far as mulching the grass. However, that blade does not offer much lift. And I found that out with using this high lift blade. It was the very first time I used it, and I intentionally did it, and I'll probably continue to intentionally mow with the high lift blade in the fall renovation when I'm doing an initial cut, because you want to make sure that your blade is always sharp. Number one, you always want to make sure that you have a sharp blade, but obviously a factory new blade is going to be very sharp. And it was the first time I'd used this high lift blade, and guys, it did a fantastic job with actually pulling that grass up and cutting it at the highest setting. I was quite pleased. So I will give Ego credit for the high lift blade. It does do the trick, but the downside to that is it doesn't mulch, I'm guessing, because it's not the mulching blade, right? So I'm guessing that it's not going to mulch the lawn as much as I would prefer. But that being said, it's at least when I know that I'm going to bag the grass, I can use this high lift blade and it will do a better job. In fact, I think that it also helped with the bagging clippings on the mower. I think that helped with getting more clippings into the mower bag, which is understandable given the fact that the high lift blade has more suction and is pushing that grass into the bag better. So as we got out into the lawn with the highest setting, with the bag, the other thing that you want to do is I didn't bother trimming or edging. It's really about just getting on the lawn and off the lawn as quickly as possible with the least amount of traffic on the lawn, so that you can allow the seedlings to continue to germinate and grow and strengthen until they're to the point where they can manage foot traffic a little bit better. Also, I was very careful about when I was turning my mower, watching where I was stepping. If there were any bare patches in the lawn that I was reseeding, those I definitely tried to avoid as far as not stepping in those areas, since that is 100% new grass. So just trying to be aware of everything that you're doing. Turning your mower is one of the big things. I like to try to at least get into more of a well-established section of the lawn before I turn the mower, just to reduce the amount of damage that can happen from the wheels turning and grinding on the lawn as you're making your turns. So it actually ended up not being too bad as far as the amount of grass. I think I had to empty the mower bag like 5 times, so it wasn't too bad for 4,600 square feet. And I got right off the lawn and I immediately started the irrigation to get that water going again and to continue with the germination. Again, if you didn't see the previous video and know what type of grass seed I used, it was about a 65 turf type tall fescue to a 35% Kentucky bluegrass. So with the Kentucky bluegrass, a lot of that probably hasn't even germinated yet. So we need to make sure that we're continuing to maintain the watering, especially in more of the bare soil areas where it's going to have thinner grass seedlings in there right now and not a lot of moisture retention. As far as the peat moss, I'm still pretty happy to report on the Scott's lawn soil. It's okay. It's not topsoil. It's mulch. haven't seen any soil in that specifically, in my opinion, but it's like a fine mulch, and it seems like it's fortified with some fertilizers and stuff like that, so maybe there's a benefit there. I'm kind of indifferent. I think that maybe if it were mixed with a little topsoil, there would be better moisture retention, because I have noticed that it doesn't really hold moisture too well, despite the fact that I top dressed everything lightly with peat moss. It just really doesn't seem like it holds moisture very well at all. I will say that, going back on the area where I've reseeded with straw, that seems to have actually done a little bit of a better job, in my opinion. Really haven't done a side-by-side comparison to know, but so at any rate, guys, that is a status update on my first mow of the lawn reno. Stay tuned. I will go ahead and give you guys another update on that when I do my next mow. I'm hoping that I can wait for about another week before I have to mow again. At that point, hopefully it will be to a point where I can actually start to get back onto more of a regular mowing and irrigation regimen. But I'm just playing it by ear, because as you know, with that Kentucky bluegrass, it's probably going to start germinating. I'd say within the next 2 to 5 days, I should start seeing some germination from that. But given the fact that it's a lower percentage than the turf type tall fescue, it'll probably go pretty much unnoticed. Most of the bare patches are starting to grow in. There are some that haven't done as great as others, but I think all in all, it was a successful overseed. It was a successful renovation. I know that there's going to be a lot of the POA areas that will take some time to recover, and I know that I did not get it all. I'm sure there will be more that will come up and that I will have to address in the future, but that's okay. I'm prepared for that. I know that this is the long game, especially with Triv, because from my research, there really doesn't seem to be a truly effective way to get rid of Triv, and the growth type and the way that it spreads seems like it's going to be a long battle. But hey, I'm obsessed, and that's what this channel is all about. So I hope you guys are enjoying the ride. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments below. But I appreciate you guys watching. All of your comments and feedback in the past videos have been much appreciated. And take care, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.